Okay. We are now Jamie and Tatiana, Far from the Tree, our podcast, and we're just going to dive in. I don't even know what episode this is. I'll let Joan figure that one out. We'll figure
492.
492 sounds great. It's not good if you're searching online, I guess, hashtag whatever, but we'll figure it out anyways.
Hashtag blast.
How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
A little discombobulated, actually.
Yeah, you are.
I am. I'm a little all over the place. And you wake up and you thought you'd set an alarm and then you don't. And then when you look at your phone, you're like, why would I even think to set it for that time? So then you're up rushing around because you have an agenda of things you want to get done. So you're getting me fresh from the gym. And on the way back from the gym here, I was like, wait a minute, I haven't even done my morning meditation. I haven't even, so I was like, okay, quick, one breath in. Okay, what's my mantra? So, hey, it
raw
is
dogging life.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, okay, breathe. Now I sound like Lamaze. Anyways, so I'm here.
You're here. Good.
I'm here. By the way, my one of my best girlfriends, Melissa and Casey, had their baby on Tuesday.
Wow.
A little girl, Olive. I know. So shout out to them. Yeah,
Precious.
I know. So cute. Anyways, the reason it's a big deal for the audience is that her and her husband have been going through fertility treatments for a long time and finally got pregnant. And this is their second. And she is my age, which is almost 50. So I still can't like fathom that number for me. But anyways, yeah. So super excited about that. Yeah, it's just have you had these? I'm doing a shameless plug for Core Power now. These are really good.
Are those the ones that I got when I was there? No, I got the muscle.
Yeah, those are nasty.
You know, okay. You're very sensitive to whey.
Yes, the aftertaste, that protein after the whey aftertaste has to be just right. This doesn't have an aftertaste. It actually tastes like chocolate milk. So anybody who's watching
Core Power.
The
fully endorsed by Jamie Don.
Exactly. Oh wait, I should change our view there. I think Joan gave me some feedback about the view and how we are recording these. I swear people are like, these are amateurs.
Yeah, we're having fun.
Exactly. And what are we going to ramble about today? Actually, you and I were talking the other day and thought it would be good for a podcast about non-attachment and about letting go. How can you be non-attached without going numb, right? And where you just don't care about anything.
That's right.
And it's a practice that I've been doing for a long time. Why are you laughing?
I don't care. I don't care about anything. Fine. Life is good. We're gonna float through like a butterfly. It's fine.
Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee.
Until someone doesn't accept my apology, and then I'm
See, what gets me, this is the problem. What gets me is that I come across as if nothing bothers me, right? And that's really not the case. And so what's happened is that seed was planted. Okay, so my partner said to me the other day while we're sitting on the beach, he was like, I know you don't care, or nothing bothers you, something like that. And I was like, for the record, things do bother me. I just choose how I respond to them, But the problem is now that rebellious child inside of me is like, fuck you. I'm going to show you that things bother me, And so the last couple of days, every little thing I'm going to speak up to. Like I went to, but I realized it makes me look really bitchy. And I'm like, I don't want that, I don't want to be nitpicky about every little thing. But it's just interesting how if someone planted that seed, right, that now for me it's a trigger where I'm like, oh, that bothers me. Let me tell you that bothers me. Why are you looking at me like that? You look like a
Why
therapist.
why do you what makes you think that you are bitchy because you're speaking up?
What?
I went to the Barbie monologue in my brain. If you I can't believe you still
I
haven't
have
seen it.
not seen that movie. Everyone
Unreal.
is talking
So
about
good.
it.
Because it's good. It's
Really?
good. Yes.
Good. Good. I'm surprised you haven't seen your Nicolas Cage movie,
Which one?
The Renfield.
No, I haven't yet.
I know you like him. But anyways, yeah, I've
Disappointing.
heard I've heard great things about Barbie.
It's
What's so
good
good about it?
because it addresses the social issues from a really wide perspective. It addresses it from Barbie's perspective. It addresses it from the real world perspective and how those two things really clash and don't match. It addresses it from the male perspective as Ken in Barbie Land, and then Ken in the real world, and then patriarchy in the real world versus in Barbie Land, and how patriarchy has affected both men and women, and how we can all free ourselves from this toxic culture that we've built. So it's not people are like, oh, it's a man-hating movie, it's a blah. No, it's not at all. It's actually uplifting men and saying this is the shit that you've been dealing with, like we have, just you just have a different narrative, right? Women are subservient and should be, made to, if you're complaining about something, now you're bitchy instead of speaking your mind.
Right.
Right. And America Ferrera has this beautiful monologue that just goes like back and forth about the dichotomy of being a woman. That's just like that's incredible. And that's why that came out. I was thinking about it. And then you have the issues that men are dealing with, which is like, oh, I need money, status, and power and glory, and to be this like giant presence that overpowers and towers over everybody and everything because that's my status as a man. No, it's not. Neither of those things are correct. Just be yourself, literally just be you. But we've gotten so far away from that, right? If we're going role self and true self, like patriarchy is like role self, role self, role self for everybody instead of come as you are, be who you want to be a good person. Just be you. We'll accept you. It was excellent. It was funny because you're also watching these like live action people acting as if they're a plastic doll. Like, so if you remember positioning Barbie, it's just like very like
Mm-hmm.
rigid, and they
Mm-hmm.
do the same thing as humans. It's perfect.
Okay.
It's
Well, when it
hilarious.
comes out on Amazon, I'm sure I'll rent it.
Fair enough.
That or you or who else is on my account will.
I'll buy it. I'll buy it so we own it so you can watch it whenever you want.
Oh, thanks.
You're welcome.
I don't know that
Stephen
that would
loved
be a
it.
rerun kind of movie, but you never know.
Lies, lies. If this was, I'm endorsing Barbie. It was
Oh,
good.
well, circling back though, you're right because the about the whole stereotypes or the idea that because I'm speaking about something that bothers me that it turns me bitchy or the stereotypes, things like that. And obviously it's still ingrained in me that I should be the good girl and I shouldn't speak up and I need to make sure that everybody is I'm the people pleaser, right? I still work with those kinds of shadows that I grew up with because it kept peace in the house. As long as I didn't make daddy upset, then everything was fine. And then I watched my mom also be the joke was she's so laid back, she's parallel to the floor. Nothing ever bothered her. So that was my role model. Therefore, that's what I embodied. So it's just interesting.
Boo, good girl conditioning. Boo.
I know, right? Well, there's a way to do it to speak up without being bitchy. I mean, I don't need to hurt somebody. Being myself
Right,
and saying what bothers me shouldn't harm the other person. It should
right.
speak about what's happening for me, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And that's the fine line or the practice that I've been working with for a long time is how I come across, how I communicate what is bothering me. And it's not always easy, especially if you're distracted or you're just not conscious about what's happening, you know.
Yeah, being mindful there. Okay. Being language is actually a fine art, I think. And especially in the therapy and the coaching realm, we have to be very mindful of how we approach things. Thinking about it right now, it's a mindfulness practice to articulate ourselves well and to slow down our thoughts and slow down our creative speech to be able to get these points across, to take out the ums and the likes and the pauses, right? Making them thoughtful pauses instead of filling up the space. And then choosing our words correctly. Like, I watch myself with clients, like I have one, he's like, "You went quiet on me. What's happening?" I'm like, "I'm just watching myself and my reactions." Because part of me, and I self-disclose, part of me wants to tell you, screw that, like, go and enjoy your life. And the other part is like, you're probably not ready for that, and that's okay. And then we talk about that. And that mindfulness of how we say things, especially to our partners that we care about, is the same thing. But it's easier, I think, for us to be more direct with them because we feel safer with them, and we're not having to necessarily watch everything all the time, because we can have that honest banter, right? It's not a professional setting.
Why can't
But
we have
then
honest banter in both personal and professional setting?
we can, but
Right,
I think it's easier for us to do it with, our partners or our best friends or the people that we care about and feel safe with,
right.
because they're able to call us out on our stuff a little more easily. I think there's still that barrier when it comes to the professional relationship because nobody really wants to dampen it, even though that's exactly what takes that's that healthy conflict that we need to be able to work through. That it's like, oh, if I can do that with you, I can do that with so and so out there. Yes, that's the point.
Mm. Yep, agreed. It's, I say our thoughts are the clothing that we wrap around our words, or excuse me, our words are the clothing we wrap around our thoughts. So choose carefully how you want them to be perceived or received.
Right.
So, what was that look?
I sip my coffee and it made a sound.
Oh,
Sorry.
I didn't hear you. I just saw your face.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah. So, paying attention to the internal thoughts before we actually verbalize them. So many people forget to do that practice because it's so easy to fill the space and it's so easy to project whatever is happening inside, especially if you're in pain, right? And you're just like, I want somebody to take this pain away, therefore I'm going to vomit all over you so that at least you can share in the pain or something along those lines, and we talk about this quite a bit at Nine Gates Mystery School when we're working with conscious speaking, and how often our words can harm or heal.
Mhm.
And so really choosing carefully, keeping the conversation about ourselves, what's happening inside of me, pausing, checking in, um, that sort of thing. And so I'm going to tie this back into the whole letting go and not caring or not letting things bother you, that sort of thing. Is that if I can really practice in my internal world, uh, being mindful of
Mhm.
what I'm about to say, I also check in with, is this really a hill I'm going to die on? Is this something that is worth talking about? Is it worth speaking up about? So it's not about dampening myself down. It's really for me, it's a picking and choosing the battle, so to speak.
Right. Yeah. I'll often, say to Talbot, can I share something with you, or can I ask you something? And then I'll go quiet. He's like, you're thinking about how to say this, how to word it. I'm like, I mean, kind of. But he's figured that out. Like, I have something to say, but I don't want to hurt or offend you. So I'm trying to figure out how I can say this in a way that comes from me, that you can take, that doesn't put you in defense mode, because that's not the purpose of what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's the same for clients, and to be honest, the same with you. I mean, sometimes, we kind of just fly off the handle and it's just like, oh, I forgot, take that breath and here it is. But the intention is not to hurt or harm somebody. It's just forgetting to take that step back. And I think a lot of couples go through that too. They forget to take that step back because they're so emotionally invested, when that's the best protocol you can do is like, we're getting too heated and taking a timeout.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of wars could probably be stopped if our officials did that too.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, you think about it, most individuals, especially in partnership, romantic partnership, we have our own agendas. We
Mhm.
often, in same with politics or whatever, everybody has their own agenda. And it's like, I have to have this to happen in order for me to feel safe, or in order for something to be right or wrong, right? And so then, because we're so attached to this particular agenda, we're pushing it on to another person. And so in relationship, it's like, I need you to do this for me, and the other individual's like, I don't want to do this, you can't make me do this, you know. And so
Mhm.
then the squabble starts, and the power struggles, and that sort of thing. And so when we are in conversation with our partners, again, keeping it about what's happening inside of me allows that individual to not go into defense mode and saying, yes, I have an agenda. Yes, I want this. It is about me, and it's about what's happening in my internal world. And I think, and now I'm really going off on a rabbit trail. But anyways, um, where I'm going with this is that there's certain elements in communicating with our partners or within any individual of timing's important.
Mhm.
What kind of state of mind, kind of setting up the conversation,
Mhm.
right? Because they may not be in a headspace that they can receive the information at that time. And so that's important as well. And then of course the content of what we're about to say. So
Mhm. I love when people are like, oh, I just had a fight with my partner, but then we resolved it. We had been drinking. I'm like, okay, if we're drinking, we're going to table this conversation. I'm telling you, that's a rule. You can't reason with a non-sober person. It doesn't happen, especially with alcohol. No. So,
and there's so many perceptions that are misconstrued. You wake up the next day and you're like, what were we talking about? What I think they said this. They must have said that. I don't know. What did I say? I mean, yeah,
right,
you don't
right.
remember half the shit that you're saying.
No. You wake up like, I think I was mad about something, so I should probably still be mad.
We
And
humans are
eventually,
funny.
right, eventually it comes to you and you're like, oh yeah, I see why I was mad about that. We should talk about that now. Just avoid all heated discussions, heated topics when you are intoxicated with pretty much anything. I think it's a
Agreed.
safe bet. Just
Agreed.
don't.
Agreed. There's way too many wars, so to speak, that are started in the heat of substance
Mm-hmm.
fog, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I made a rule of thumb a long time ago that if I was ever working through something internally, I was not going to drink. I wasn't going to do anything that, would taint my perception. I would sit with myself and work through it first. So,
Yeah. There was I mean, I've texted you when I'm feeling uneasy or unsettled, and there was a day that Tal and I we ended up at the kava bar, and I'd gotten, I can't remember, like some mocktail or whatever, and he was like, "Oh, I just don't know how you do that. How do people just like not drink or like use substances?" And I said, "Okay, those like uneasy feelings that I feel in my stomach, or that you tell me about that you're angry or you're unsettled." He's like, "Yeah." I said, "I sit with those." He's like, "Ew." I'm like, "Yeah, it sucks." And then when I work through it, I get to go to the kava bar and I get to get myself a mocktail and say, "Congratulations, you did a really good job sitting with that." And I use it as a reward. You, on the other hand, don't sit with those uneasy feelings. You go to the kava bar and you try to get something in your system that helps you to keep it at bay, or maybe work through it, but it's still not really helping you work through it. And you use it more as a coping skill instead of working through it and using it as a reward. Same can be said for weed or alcohol or whatever. But can you reward yourself for your productivity or your good behavior, or however you want to phrase it, the good work that you did, instead of a coping skill that is probably from the past that, yes, kept you safe, but is no longer needed.
Yeah. Yeah, we're so afraid as human beings because we don't have the tools. We're so afraid of our emotions, and especially high sensitives, because
Mm-hmm.
they don't know what to do with them. And emotions are carry the element of water, right? And so if emotions are coming in and they are overwhelming, it feels like you're drowning, or it feels like you're being swept away from in a riptide, things
Mm-hmm.
like that. And so that's where the substances come in, or the escapism, where it's like, I can't deal with it, therefore I'm going to bolt, I'm going to escape in some way. And that's why it's really important to have therapist, coach, whoever, somebody to assist in cope in finding tools to be able to work through, to sit with those uncomfortable feelings. Because one of the other things, and I push against this, especially in the Western society, we're so afraid of being uncomfortable. Oh
We
no,
have it easy.
exactly. Exactly. I'm not saying you go chase after pain, but pain is part of life. It's
Correct.
it's just as much part of being human as being comfortable. And so it's like we're always striving for comfort. And it was interesting because yesterday when my anxiety really kicked in, because it was my own doing anyways, but I was working through it, and I started laughing at one point because of the internal dialogue that was going on in my head. And I was like, really? You're going to go down this path again? And I remember specifically, I mean, you should have seen all the things I almost texted, I almost wrote, and I was like, I'm so happy I didn't do that, because I mean, I was on a rampage. I was lecturing. I was like, well, you clearly don't dot 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 dot, you obviously. And I was just like, stop.
I challenge you to actually write it down next time and then put it away and come back to it later
Mm.
and see what you wrote to be like, oh, girl, you okay? I don't think this is gonna work.
Your diary.
Yeah, exactly.
Jamie is an idiot. Just
No
kidding.
self-deprecation.
No, I know. But anyways, going back to the discomfort, it was like, yeah, I sat with all that pain and discomfort and the anxiety that comes on. And it took me a couple hours to work through it.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? I did.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm able to look back and laugh about it and learn from it, and realize, what was that trigger, And it's so funny because of course it hooks you right in, because you think, oh yay, I have all these tools and I've worked through so much, and all of a sudden it rears its little head and goes, here I am again.
You forget about me? Hee hee.
Mhm.
Just been hiding under your bed.
But the whole point is you have tools,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't have, in my world, I believe you don't gain these tools to let them rust, so you have to have training ground for them. That's why these situations come up.
Yep. To be able to apply them.
And what better way than relationship?
Parenting or partnering is gonna bring it all out.
That's
Mm-hmm.
right. That's right. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
we
then you get a
never,
margarita.
I do like my margaritas. Um, yes. Um, there was, oh, I was going to say, we were going to talk about the whole non-attachment and letting go and things like that. But I think, us rambling into all these other awarenesses, what are some tools that people can use when they get caught into their emotions, when they're working through discomfort?
Verbalize it. Tell somebody. I usually text you. I probably text Talbot. Sometimes I text my supervisor and I'm like, oh man, the world feels so heavy. I think I texted all three of y'all that,
Mm-hmm.
and probably Dana.
Mm.
And, my supervisor got back to me and was just like, it does. Just know that you are helping by simply being there, even if you can't do anything. I'm like, oh, that sucks. That's it? Really? Oh, but yes, tell somebody. Get it out, verbalize it. If you don't tell somebody, tell yourself. Make a video where you're talking to yourself. voice text into your phone, write a note, journal, write a song. It doesn't matter. Do something to get it out. Go work out your frustrations. Go do an interpretive dance outside in nature or in your bedroom to your favorite song. Like, just express yourself and be able to get that discomfort, acknowledge that it exists, and then allow it to move through you. And eventually, especially if you can add in some sort of like physical discharge component, you'll be able later to think more rationally and be able to reflect. When we're dysregulated, we can't do that. That part of the brain is offline, right? The emotional primitive brain is online, and that's it. So sometimes that's also why our memories become fragmented or distorted, because the memory working system is like, I'm shutting down. You don't need me right now. You just need me to respond. But again, if we can take that step back, take that breath, maybe we're going to the gym, maybe we're doing some yoga or going for a run or playing sports, or maybe even playing with our kids, right? You're able to create that kind of space that allows you to reflect. Why was I upset? What was really going on? Was there a trigger? Is this a collective thing? Is this fear? Is this anxiety? Name it. I always go back to Keith from Grief from Big Mouth, where he's like, hey, how's it going? I'm Keith from Grief. He's nice, he's small, he's subtle, he's just like, I'm here and I'm gonna be here. Not as a threat, he's just letting you know. And the more you don't acknowledge Keith from Grief, the more it's gonna grow and grow and grow until he attacks you and hugs you like a sweater until you acknowledge him, and then he'll shrink and say, okay, I'll see you again soon. And hopefully what we learn next time, because he's going to come back, and this is for any emotion, is to say, hey, Keith from Grief, I see you. What are you here for? What can I do for you? What do you need to tell me? And we get into that better process of it. Because discomfort, like pain, yeah, it's going to be here forever. I think I had a client ask me, like, what can I expect? What is something like that? And I said, pain, uncertainty, and constant work. And he was like, okay. Like, that's what you can expect. I'm sorry, like, I don't have any like positive uplifting answer. Like, that is exactly what you can expect from life and from therapeutic work, from anything else that you might do. Those are the constants in your life, and I can't tell you about anything else. You have to figure that out. You might experience like happiness and joy and love, but I don't get to tell you when.
Yeah, totally agree. And I'm going to add in energy. Emotion is this: E equals motion, energy in motion. What you're pointing to is, and this is the tools that I use, is exactly what you said, is that I'll sit with the emotion and then I move. I move my physical body and I watch the movement of my mind. And this is where practices for training the mind is no different than training the physical body. So moving the mind as well. So when you're moving physically, where's your mind? It's on breathing, it's on your body, it's on whatever exercise you're doing or dancing or whatever, right? So that's why it's so good. And if you're not able to get to a gym or go for a walk or whatever, then do some sort of mental exercise that lets your mind stay put. That's why mantra means protector of the mind. Repeat a mantra, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, whatever, that allows your mind to uh, to have a job, if you will, so that it's not constantly replaying the story that you're making up in your head, or you're not going back. I always say, don't go back to the knife drawer and stab yourself by repeating so many times. I'm guilty of this. I go back to the past and I go, well, he said this, or he didn't do this, or he doesn't, and we go to the worst fatalistic explanation possible. So it's like going to the knife drawer and going, every single time, And it's like nobody's doing that but me. So stop it. Come back to the present moment. And the other thing that very often happens, and I witness this with clients as well as myself, is that we often go to the worst case scenario. Don't fatalize everything. You know, pain happens, uncertainty happens. It's hard work. So roll up your sleeves, dig in, and on the other side of pain is pleasure. So they live on the same axes, good,
Right.
bad, pain, pleasure. It all is together. So, yes, you're going to experience happiness. You're going to experience joy. You may even experience bliss, but you're also going to experience the darkness and the shadow because light can't exist without it.
Right. And I think that goes even into the non-attachment piece. If you're choosing to be non-attached, that's different from being numb.
Right.
Because if you're trying to numb out the negative or unhealthy emotions, then you're also numbing out all the positive or healthy ones. You don't get any of it. So choose wisely. If you really want that happiness and bliss and contentment and love and awe and, you know, all these wonderful things, you're going to have to take disgust and anger and pain and fear.
Yes.
Being non-attached is trusting the process of it. I hated that phrase. Oh my God, I hated that phrase in grad school. Ooh, it was awful, terrible. And I said it to a client this week and I said, you ready? I'm gonna tell you something I really hate to say, but it's true, is trust the process. So like, what does that even mean? Yes, exactly. What does it mean? Who knows? Just know that what you're doing eventually will give you some sort of end result. That's ultimately what it is. You're working toward an end result. So if you're playing yourself, putting yourself into this negative space, you might get a negative result. But if you can, sit with that discomfort, sit with the overwhelm, the anxiety. I don't know why I'm feeling like this. I don't know why I'm like this. I don't know what's happening with me. Can you trust that if you're able to work through it and do that inner work for yourself, that the consequence or the outcome is going to be exactly what you need?
I've always actually appreciated that phrase. That would never bother me. But what I love about the whole numbing versus letting go or non-attachment is that the non-attachment, we we're so funny humans, is that we say we're not attached to pain, then why can't we let it go?
Mm-hmm.
Why can't we let the negative go? Yeah, I was talking to somebody the other day and they were like, well, all I can think about, we had a great week together, but we had this one bad time. And all she could think about was that bad time. And I'm like, why is that? Why do we take the one bad thing and make it the most dominant thing and discredit all the goodness that's there, you know? So, anyways, that's just another like, whew. But when it comes to that whole non-attachment, is that being non-attached means that I can feel those negative emotions or go through the negative situation, but not attach to it, saying this is I'm going to be stuck in it and I'm going to keep going back to it and I'm going to keep right. I can just trust the process. I can let
Mm-hmm.
go and know that on the other side is pain or on the other side is pleasure. And then the non-attachment to the pleasure. Oh, I feel happiness, I feel comfort, or I feel relief, or whatever. And so I'm going to stay here. And if I don't stay here, then something's wrong with me.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it's oh, I'm feeling joy or I'm feeling happiness. I'm going to enjoy it for this moment.
For as long as it's here, because I know it's going to go away.
That's right. And then it'll come back and then it'll go
Right.
away. Everything is grace and grief. We're always one step away. One step on grace, one step on grief.
Mm.
It's an interesting practice that one of my teachers, you've experienced David Patton, um, he taught the Celtic portion of Nine Gates Mystery School. And when he would walk very mindfully. And I asked him once, I said, what do you say when you're walking? I can tell the mind. He goes, grace, grief, grace, grief, to remind him that we're only one step away. I just thought that was really cool.
I like that. Right. It's just the other side of the teeter-totter, or the other side of the pendulum, or the swing, or however you want to use the metaphor.
Yep. One of the things my partner will say when he's having a grief moment is, I'm having a moment. Okay, have a
Perfect.
moment.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I need a minute, I'm having a moment. Okay, have a moment. So
Let me know if you need a hug.
yeah.
I was listening to Self-Healer Soundboard, and she had mentioned David Kessler, who is
Oh, I
also,
love
you know,
him.
one of my grief mentors, or is my grief mentor, and said that he'd mentioned when experiencing grief, and again, we can use this for anything, but I'm having a, like, David Jr. moment, right? His son that died. I'm missing him. So I'm having that kind of moment. Okay, so that's the emotional space you're in. I got it. I got it.
Mhm.
So can we take those, or I'm having an anger moment, I'm having a, you know,
Name it.
trigger moment, whatever. Exactly. But it also, without having to say too much, it lets somebody else know where you're at. I'm having a parent moment. Okay. Thank you. That's good.
Yeah,
You're processing something.
yeah. I love that. And to your point, I wanted to put another little gold star around something you said was in a tool when the emotions are there, naming them without saying I am angry, saying
Mhm.
I feel
Right.
anger, or I feel sadness, or I feel, because we are not anger itself. We're feeling
Right.
it. And the other piece of that is when we name something that is happening for us, it takes the power that it has over us away,
Mhm.
because we have internalized it so much. I was talking to someone the other day, and talking her off the ledge, as she said, and she had a perception about a particular conversation and information that she wanted to work through with her partner, uh, but she was talking to me first, and she was like, this is probably going to happen, and this and this and this. I mean, she just had herself so worked up before she ever had the conversation. And then she calls me back the next day and she goes, so we had the conversation. It was great. I'm so happy I talked to you first. And I said, yeah, because you created a world in your own mind that wasn't even true. And you were about to project it onto your partner. And then it wasn't at all what you thought it was.
Right.
So talking it through, asking questions, staying open and curious about the conversation, or about the perception that's happening for you, also can help to dissipate that energy. And so the hardest part is when you know you need to talk about something in particular with someone, try not to already have the outcome thought through in your head, because you have no idea.
Right. One of the techniques for rational emotive behavior therapy is to go with that worst case scenario, but make it as wild as possible. Okay, so let's imagine this conversation and it's going badly. And then someone reaches into the fridge and starts throwing tomatoes. And now you have a food fight. And then you got to clean stuff up. And then what? Oh, and then a bird flies into the window, or it comes into the open door from outside, and it's flocking around and it's doing its thing and it's confused and you're trying to get it out. Oh yeah, just keep going with it, keep going. And then you see how absurd even these stories we're telling ourselves can be.
I love that. Yeah. And I think probably the most difficult thing for a lot of us is going through that process, taking
Mm-hmm.
the time out to go through that process. But it really doesn't take a lot of time. And if we can carve out the processing time, then we can approach our relationships and ourselves in life in a much more mindful, open, accepting, trusting the process kind of way. So
Beautiful.
thank you for the conversation.
Thank you.
I love you. This has
I
been
love you
fun.
too.
Where can people find you?
You can find me at pathwaysfcs.com. You can find me at Psychology Today. If anything that I've said resonated with you, or if you're in Virginia. Yeah, that's it for now.
Awesome. Find me at jamiedawn.com. All my stuff is there. Thanks everybody for watching, listening, and just playing with us. Have a great day.
Bye. Said healing isn't 100%. It's not linear. We go backwards and forwards. So stop thinking you don't deserve love because you're not where you want to be, because you do.